Before I start on the content, I want to acknowledge the developers of systemd and PulseAudio. Mainly, I think the main developer is Leonard Pottering. And so I very much appreciate people creating this software because I think it's incredible. So let's talk about streaming PulseAudio, using PulseAudio to stream audio from one computer and then to use another computer to output that audio to speakers. So what is my use case? I am downstairs right now on my desktop computer, and upstairs we have a little mini PC that we use to watch videos, movies, and everything. And it is connected to our sound system that's in the living room. And so one thing I like to do is to play audio from my desktop computer and route it through the mini PC upstairs in the living room to the big speakers. And also have it set up where I've got some speakers in the kitchen in the adjacent room, so it plays in the living room and in the kitchen at the same time from my desktop. And oftentimes I'll SSH in to the desktop computer from my phone, and then from my desktop computer I'll route audio through the mini PC into the nice big speakers there. So that's my use case and how I use it. And the following method only works if X11 is running. I did not look into trying to figure out how to get it working without X11. You can start PulseAudio and all of that, but it just comes up when you run list sources or list syncs. It just shows up as a null sync. So for it to actually show up with your syncs, with your audio syncs, SINKS, you need to have X11 running. And upstairs we use LightDM to log in. And so when it boots, LightDM is running, and that is running X11. So if you run pgrep x, it won't be empty. Whoa, that disappeared. It won't be empty there. The little mini PC upstairs, we call it Little Box. I didn't look into this really. One idea is just to do a minimal X11 setup. You could use auto login, which is pretty easy. You use lightdm.conf, you edit that file, and you can do auto login with lightdm, and then OpenBox, which is a small window manager. However, no GUI applications are necessary for doing all the following. So you can just have a Raspberry Pi off in the corner somewhere, and then you can install the necessary packages. You don't have to do X11 forwarding to load a graphical application from your Raspberry Pi or anything like that. So I want to give credit where I have researched and found information. So this is originally from the Arch Wiki. Now I can't find these same instructions anymore online, but I saved the HTML file. And so here it is. Right there, zeroconf. And so that's where I got my information. I can't find the same exact instructions anymore. I don't know why it's not there anymore. So these two sections here from that. And all right, so let's go through, and I'm logged in. I set up SSH on my laptop, and I'm logged in there. My laptop's right here next to me. And so you can see, we can demo playing some audio. So we've got the server, and then we've got the client. The server is the computer with the speakers. So in this case, in what I'm setting up, it's going to be my laptop. And the client is my desktop computer that I'm sitting on here, that I'm using here, I'm sitting at here. All right. So on both server and client, you need these two applications installed. So I need to, and you can see I've got it installed here. Yep, already installed. And then I'm just going to show that I've got it installed. I just typed poorly my password. There we go. And then here's my desktop computer. Ooh, let's do the S flag to simulate the install. So that's already installed. Move that over. And we need to run this systemctl enable this daemon here. All right, so we do that on both server and the client. And so status. There we go, and that's enabled. And so that means that it'll start at boot. If you just install it and you want to go ahead and start it, you can do start instead of enable, and that'll start the service right then. But enable means it starts by default at boot. And I don't know if it's necessary to do this, but here's my desktop computer. Enable. Oh, it's already enabled. I meant to do status. And you'll see it's running. Let's see, what can I do with my, let's move this over here. That'll work. All right, so the thing we want to make sure about is that it's the exact same file for the cookie. And note that this is under your user directory. So the one that I use on, let's see, we're doing our demo laptop here. So config pulse md5 sum cookie. And then, well, you know what? I'll just do a drop-down terminal. No, that's not going to compare well. So let's just do a new window. I need to not hide. I got to open up some space here. There we go. So see the MD5 sum, and then I'll go to the same folder on my desktop here. And there we see, it's the exact same file. So I've got the same cookie file in my Pulse home directory on both my desktop here, which is the client, and on the server, which is, at this point, my laptop. That's the server. Close this out. All right, so here we're back. So we're on my laptop, which is the server, which is the computer that has the speakers. And you want to edit this file and add to load these two modules, not including the dash, of course. That's just my bullet points. And so let's go ahead and I'm going to show you what we have to do manually. And I'm going to switch back to being the regular user. Now this is the regular user. Normally root doesn't play audio unless you decide to tell it to do that. But I just want a regular user to play the audio. And so if we see what PulseAudio processes are running, we see this. This is a systemd thing that I log in here and that's running. Now the streaming will not work. It will not work if it's done in this manner. So we want to do this. And this, in the latter part of this video, you're going to be like, well, this is kind of hacky and cumbersome. I show how you can avoid doing all of this and how it's super convenient to use this. All right, so we kill PulseAudio. There we go. No PulseAudio instance is running. PulseAudio, and with a -D, that's in daemon mode. So there we go. Now it's running in daemon mode. Now we need to load our modules because I didn't add this on my laptop. I don't stream audio to my laptop. I just did that for this video. And so we need to load these two modules. Now you can put these lines, as I mentioned, in the config file here, or you can prefix these two commands with PulseAudio command. Let's see. This module TCP, we load that one. And then we loaded that one. Now, let's go to the client, which is the desktop that I'm using currently. And we're going to run this. Okay. So now let's search and see if my laptop is going to come up on here. And we'll see all the other syncs, but we'll also see my laptop. This is little box. That's upstairs. Here's my laptop. And so I had added this earlier. Just I was running through the steps on my own. So we'll make this the default. PacMD set default sync, and we do that. There we go. Now we should be able to play some audio. Notice that the sync name, I did not include the angle brackets. Now we should be able to play some audio through my laptop. So we almost deleted the video file that I was I'm actually currently recording. So we'll play this audio and it should come out of my laptop. You can hear it coming out of my laptop. I don't know where my speakers fire from. So there we go. So I'm playing, you see here, I'm on my desktop computer and I'm playing the audio and it's coming out of my laptop. So that's cool, but that took a long time to get to that point. Now I'm going to go to Littlebox and show you how I've just kind of automated all of this. Let's forget about my laptop, log out there. And let's go to Littlebox, which is upstairs. All right, so I've done all these steps, so I'm not going to redo them, but I'll just show you where I've done these things. So the user needs to be logged in to be able to run the daemon. You could, one of the things I actually tried, it was silly because I didn't think this through. And then you have your command, you know, pulse. So we could run a command remotely over SSH, but then as soon as you exit, it kills the process because the SSH session was the parent process. So that's not going to work. So we need the user logged in with that daemon running. And so we can do that here. I automatically have the user JBC login on TTY1 by following these steps. And let's go to give credit where credit's due. Right here. So let's go to this directory. So I created this directory and then I ran, what did I run? I ran this command. And what it did is it created this file right there. And it actually, I tried to save it and it threw some error, and then I just went and I edited it manually. I just edited the thing manually. And so I adapted go to the bottom so you can see the exec start line to say this right there. So that auto logs me in on TTY1. And so with that, of course, replace JBC, username right here, JBC with your user. And so, let's see. Yeah, that gets me logged in automatically. Now, the steps I just did with the laptop, I had to kill PulseAudio. And by the way, where are my notes? I used pkill-u, then the username, and then PulseAudio instead of PulseAudio-k, because PulseAudio-k will attempt to kill the PulseAudio processes under other users. So it's a little more graceful. So I wanted to explain that command, the reason for doing the command I did earlier. And so what we want to do is we want to avoid having to do that, having to kill PulseAudio and then restart it, because that's just not ideal. And so here's what I did. Let's go to a new directory. User. All right, so this is a systemd directory, and now we're going to edit 2 PulseAudio files. Go. And so condition user. I do not want systemd to start for my user, which is JBC. And this is on the little box, the computer upstairs. I do not want it to start for JBC. I didn't see any reason for it to start for LightDM. LightDM is a user, the display manager. Root, of course, there's no reason. That's a default thing, but I added LightDM and I added JBC excluded. So if I do not exclude here, it runs this. And this option, without it being the D option, does not work for the streaming. So I exclude my user there. And then I need to exclude my user here as well. Let's update those files. And here's my source. By the way, this is a really thorough answer. Really thorough question. Very good question they asked. We got that. And I don't know. Someone says this will be overwritten next time systemd is updated. And I'm on Debian stable, so systemd isn't updated very often, so it's not much of a concern for me. All right, so now let's go back to being the regular user, and we're going to edit .profile. So I'm going to open up the .profile. This stuff is run every time the user logs in, and so I ran this. If PulseAudio is running, if PulseAudio is not running for user JBC. If it's not running, then start the daemon. So that way it's not trying to start the daemon again when the daemon's already started. So that's in my .profile file. And so on the little PC upstairs, I need to show my configuration. It's Pulse. And it's right here. So I had to add these to the default.pa because I just keep those running. And on the laptop, I hadn't added it to default.pa, but I just ran it with the pacmd PulseAudio command, PACMD. But here I added it to the default file to load, so that's necessary here. And so when I boot up LittleBox, when it starts, of course, LightDM starts on TTY 7, but on TTY 1, my user is there running, and it's got PulseAudio going, and it's daemonized. So now on my desktop computer, I just need to start it up. And this has no kind of conflict issue with the other user that we use to log into LightDM and watch movies and all of that. There's no issue with that. And so let me show you now my script that I use for streaming audio. I don't think I need that anymore. And I call it PA load, PulseAudio load. And so I load this in my script. I noticed a while back that this kind of uses a good bit of CPU, and there's no reason for me to be running this all the time on my desktop computer. So we load this module 0comp discover. So it's going to discover what LittleBox is broadcasting on the network. And then I don't jump right in and set the default sync. I used to have sleep 2 or sleep 3. And I thought, I could be sleeping for 3 seconds and maybe it finds it in half a second. So I did this little loop here, and I get I get 10 seconds into the future. I get the current time, and then I get 10 seconds into the future. And then I loop through, and well, let's go back here. Because let's say I load up this audio sync earlier in the day and then I load it again, then PulseAudio here on my desktop computer will tack on like a 0.2 or something like that on the end. So that's why I just grep for it. I grep for the exact name. And I know this is an aspect of the name that is not going to change. So I grep for that. And so I get the precise name of the sync. All right, so I get date plus %s. That's the number of seconds since 1970 or whatever. And then I add 10 seconds to it, and then I do a loop, and until 10 seconds have passed, I'll check this, and as soon as it finds it, as soon as this variable is a non-zero value, it goes ahead. It sets the default sync. The script goes ahead and sets the default sync. And I added sleep here, sleep 0.1, so it wouldn't churn up the CPU, because if you don't add this sleep, it churns up like 50% of my CPU, just checking constantly. Very, very fast. So I had a little sleep in there, and to make it easier on the CPU. And then if I don't exit here, it says, I give up. I'm tired of waiting. So it exits. And then after I'm done playing audio, I run this. I PulseAudio unload. And so then I unload this module. So it's just not just running using a little extra CPU. And I set the default sync back to my normal audio output here on my desktop. Now, you may want to not only in your house, you may not want to only stream to one computer as I'm doing here, but you might want to stream to 2 or 3 computers. And so I did not run through these steps because I don't have a need personally for it. But I see here where you can combine syncs, and that's how you would stream through multiple computers. All right, so if I missed anything in the video, this sheet that I'm going to post is pretty clear, and I hope you have a great time with this, and I hope it can be very useful for you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.